The storm that shattered Ha-Eun's quiet life didn't come from the Seattle sky. It came bleeding through her diner's back door at midnight. She thought she was saving a stranger's life. But Min Jun-ryu wasn't just any man. He was the most feared Korean mafia boss in the Pacific Northwest, and now his enemies wanted her dead. What Ha-Eun didn't know was that her controlling ex-boyfriend had been watching, photographing, and reporting her every move to a rival crime family who would stop at nothing to destroy the man she was falling for. As bullets fly and loyalties shatter, Ha-Eun must choose between the safety she's always craved and a love so dangerous it could cost her everything, including her deaf younger brother's life. But in a world where protection and control wear the same face, how do you tell the difference between a savior and a captor? Subscribe and comment if you've ever had to choose between safety and love, because this story is about to get deadlier than a Seattle storm. The storm hit Seattle at 9:30, just as Ha-Eun Park finished wiping down the last table at Moonrise Diner. Rain hammered the windows in sheets. The neon sign buzzed and flickered outside, casting pink light across the empty booths. "Time to go, Jiho," she called to her 12-year-old brother. Jiho looked up from his math homework in the corner booth. His hands moved in quick signs. 5 more minutes. Ha-Eun felt tired. The dinner rush had been brutal. Her feet ached. Her tips barely covered rent this month. "Now," she said, signing back. "Storm's getting worse." Thunder cracked overhead. The lights flickered once, twice, then held steady. A bang echoed from the back door. Ha-Eun froze. Nobody used the alley entrance after dark. The neighborhood was rough enough without inviting trouble. Another bang, weaker this time. Then silence. Jiho's eyes went wide. He pointed toward the kitchen. Ha-Eun grabbed the baseball bat from behind the register. Her hands shook as she crept toward the back. The security camera showed only rain and shadows. A man's voice called out, barely audible over the storm. "Help." She pressed her face to the small window. A figure slumped against the doorframe. Blood streaked down his white shirt. Ha-Eun felt scared. Every instinct screamed danger. But the man swayed on his feet. He might collapse any second. She unlocked the door and pulled it open. The man stumbled inside, clutching his left shoulder. Rain dripped from his dark hair. His suit was expensive despite the blood and mud. "Don't call anyone," he said. His voice was quiet but firm. Ha-Eun stared at him. He was tall, maybe 35. His face was angular, handsome in a cold way. Blood seeped between his fingers. "You need a hospital," she said. "No." His eyes found hers. They were dark brown, almost black. "Please." Jiho appeared in the kitchen doorway. His hands moved rapidly. "Who is he? Are you okay?" "Stay back," Ha-Eun told her brother. She turned to the stranger. "Sit down before you fall down." The man lowered himself onto a metal stool. His breathing was steady despite the wound. That worried her more than panic would have. Ha-Eun grabbed the first aid kit from under the sink. "Take off your jacket." He obeyed without argument. The bullet had grazed his shoulder, leaving a shallow furrow. Painful but not deadly. "You're lucky," she said, cleaning the wound. "Inch to the right, and you'd be dead." "I know." Something in his tone made her look up. He watched her work with calm eyes. No fear, no shock. This wasn't his first time bleeding. Ha-Eun felt nervous. "What's your name?" "Better if you don't know." She pressed gauze against the wound. He didn't flinch. "You're not from around here?" "No." The lights flickered again. Through the front windows, 2 dark silhouettes moved past slowly. Too slowly. They stopped at the door and tested the handle. The stranger's hand moved to his waist. Ha-Eun caught the flash of metal under his shirt. Her breath caught. She grabbed Jiho's arm and pulled him behind the prep counter. The boy's eyes were huge with fear. The silhouettes moved on. Their footsteps faded into the storm. "They're looking for you," Ha-Eun whispered. "Yes. Are you going to bring them here again?" The stranger studied her face. Something shifted in his expression. "Not if I can help it." Ha-Eun finished bandaging his shoulder. Her hands moved automatically while her mind raced. This man was dangerous. The people hunting him were worse. "You need to leave," she said. "Before they come back." He stood carefully. Blood had stopped seeping through the gauze. "Thank you." From his pocket, he pulled out a thick roll of bills. He set $500 on the counter. "For the towels," he said. "And the trouble." Ha-Eun stared at the money. It was more than she made in a week. "I don't want payment for helping someone." He wrote a number on a napkin. "If you need anything, safety only." The back door opened and closed. He was gone. Jiho emerged from behind the counter. His hands shook as he signed. "What just happened?" "I don't know," Ha-Eun said. She picked up the napkin with the phone number. Her fingers trembled. Outside, thunder rolled across the city. The storm was getting worse. Ha-Eun sent Jiho to school the next morning under grey skies. The rain had stopped, but puddles reflected the cloudy sky. She watched from the diner window until he disappeared around the corner. The back door's lock was broken. The metal frame was dented where the stranger had fallen against it. Ha-Eun found a screwdriver in the storage room and worked on the latch herself. The bell above the front door chimed. Margaret, her morning regular, shuffled in with her newspaper. "Coffee, hun," Ha-Eun called. "Make it strong," Margaret said. She squinted at the back door. "Someone try to break in?" "Just storm damage." Margaret nodded and settled into her usual booth. Ha-Eun poured coffee and tried to focus on normal things. Bills to pay, inventory to order, anything but the phone number in her apron pocket. At 10:30, a black sedan pulled up across the street. It sat there for 20 minutes. The windows were too dark to see inside. Ha-Eun's chest tightened. She pretended to wipe down tables while watching the car. When she looked again, it was gone. The lunch rush came and went. Ha-Eun served sandwiches and coffee to construction workers and office clerks. Normal people with normal problems. No one mentioned blood or bullets or mysterious phone numbers. At 3 o'clock, the back door opened. Ha-Eun spun around, heart hammering. The stranger stood in the kitchen. He looked different in daylight, younger. His suit was clean and pressed. "How did you get in?" she asked. "I fixed the lock. I have experience with locks." He held up a small toolbox. "Your electrical panel is shorting out. Let me fix it." "I didn't ask for help." His eyes found hers. "The light above the grill flickers. It's a fire hazard." Ha-Eun looked at the fluorescent fixture. It had been acting up for weeks. She couldn't afford an electrician. 5 minutes, she said. He worked in silence. His movements were precise, economical. Within minutes, the light burned steady and bright. "The street is noisy today," he said quietly. Ha-Eun glanced toward the front windows. Another sedan had appeared across the street. Different car, same dark windows. "They're watching me," she said. "Yes. Because of last night." "Yes." Anger flared in her chest. "I helped you. Now I'm a target." The stranger set down his screwdriver. "I'm sorry. I had no choice." "There's always a choice." "Not always." His voice was quiet. "But you're right. I brought this to your door." He closed the toolbox and moved toward the back door. "I'll make sure they know you're not involved." "How?" He paused. "I have ways." The back door closed behind him. Ha-Eun stood in the kitchen, pulse racing. Through the front window, she watched the sedan pull away. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Street is clear now. Stay alert." Ha-Eun stared at the message. She deleted it and tried to forget the way her hands had shaken when he looked at her. Jiho came home from school excited about his art project. He spread his supplies across their small kitchen table and began sketching. Ha-Eun made rice and vegetables while he worked. Their apartment was tiny but clean. 1 bedroom for her, an alcove with a daybed for Jiho. The walls were thin. She could hear Mrs. Chen next door watching her evening shows. "What are you drawing?" Ha-Eun asked in sign language. Jiho held up his paper. He'd drawn the stranger from last night. Every detail was perfect. The angular face, the dark eyes, even the blood on his shirt. Ha-Eun's stomach dropped. "Why did you draw him?" "He was interesting," Jiho signed. "His hands didn't shake when you cleaned his cut. Most people's hands would shake. Not his. He's been hurt before." Jiho was too observant. It was a gift and a curse. He noticed everything. Micro-expressions, body language, the things hearing people missed. Someone knocked on the front door. 3 sharp raps. Ha-Eun looked through the peephole. Ethan stood in the hallway with flowers and his charming smile. She opened the door but kept the chain on. "What do you want, Ethan?" "To see how you're doing." His voice was warm honey over steel. "I worry about you in this neighborhood." "I'm fine." "Are you?" "Mrs. Chen mentioned some commotion last night. A man with blood on his clothes?" Ha-Eun's breath caught. Mrs. Chen had a view of the alley from her bedroom window. "I don't know what you mean," Ha-Eun said. Ethan's smile never wavered. "This area isn't safe for a woman alone with a child. You should consider moving somewhere more secure. We've had this conversation. Have we?" "I don't remember you giving me a real answer." Through the crack in the door, Ha-Eun saw his hand rest on the frame. His knuckles were white with pressure. The answer is no, she said. It was no 6 months ago. It's no today. Think about Jiho's future. What kind of influences is he exposed to here? Behind her, Jiho looked up from his drawing. His eyes were worried. We're fine, Ha-yoon said. Goodbye, Ethan. She tried to close the door. Ethan's hand blocked it. Ha-yoon, please, just coffee. One conversation. No. His smile slipped. For a second, his real face showed through. Cold, controlling, dangerous in a different way than the stranger. You're making a mistake, he said. My mistake to make. Ethan stepped back. His mask returned. Call me when you change your mind. Ha-yoon locked the door and set the deadbolt. Her hands were shaking now. Jiho signed a question. Is he the bad man from before? No, Ha-yoon said. That's a different kind of bad. She checked the locks twice before bed. Outside, Seattle hummed with traffic and sirens. Normal city sounds, but every creak in the hallway made her tense. At midnight, she found the envelope slipped under her door. Inside were photographs. Her and the stranger in the diner kitchen, her cleaning his wound. Another photo showed Jiho walking home from school, his face circled in red ink. Ha-yoon sank onto the couch. Her chest felt tight with fear and fury. The message was written in block letters. Return. What's ours? She stared at the photos until her eyes burned. Then she picked up her phone and dialed the number from the napkin. He answered on the first ring. They took pictures, Ha-yoon said, of my brother. The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. I'm coming, he said. Ha-yoon waited by the window. 20 minutes later, a black car pulled up. 2 men got out, the stranger from the diner and someone younger with sharp eyes. The stranger looked up at her apartment. Even from 3 floors up, she could see the tension in his shoulders. She buzzed them in. When they reached her door, she opened it before they could knock. The stranger stood in front. His companion stayed back, alert and watchful. Show me, the stranger said. Ha-yoon handed him the photos and the note. His jaw tightened as he studied them. This is Sumin, he said, indicating the younger man. He handles security. Sumin nodded politely. His eyes never stopped moving, cataloguing exits and sightlines. Who took these? Ha-yoon asked. Rivals, the stranger said. They think you have something that belongs to them. What could I possibly have? Information. About me. Ha-yoon felt angry. I don't even know your name. Min-jun Ryu. The name hung in the air between them. Ha-yoon had heard it whispered in Koreatown. Min-jun Ryu ran half the business south of Pike Place, legal and otherwise. You're him, she said. The one people don't talk about. Yes. And now they think I'm involved with you. Yes. Ha-yoon looked at the photos again. Jiho's innocent face surrounded by red ink. What do you want from me? She asked. Nothing, Min-jun said. I want to protect you from what I've brought to your door. I don't need protection. Your brother does. The words hit like a physical blow. Ha-yoon's hands clenched into fists. Don't you dare use him to manipulate me. Min-jun's voice was steady. I'm not manipulating you. I'm telling you the truth. These people will hurt a child to send a message. Su-min spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet, respectful. We can post watchers, discreet, just until the situation resolves. For how long? Ha-yoon asked. Until they understand you're not involved, Min-jun said. And how do we make them understand that? Min-jun and Su-min exchanged a look. Some silent communication passed between them. We handle it, Min-jun said. Handle it how? You don't need details. Ha-yoon felt frustrated. If it involves my safety, I need details. Min-jun studied her face. Something shifted in his expression. We make it clear that harming you would be unwise, through violence, through demonstration of consequence. That's violence with prettier words. Yes, his honesty surprised her. Most men lied about their methods, dressed them up in noble language. I don't want anyone hurt because of me, Ha-yoon said. They made the choice when they photographed a child. The certainty in his voice was absolute, final. Ha-yoon realized she was looking at a man who had killed before. I need time to think, she said. Min-jun nodded. 24 hours. Then we move whether you agree or not. You can't make that decision for me. I can't let a child be hurt. He's not your responsibility. He became my responsibility when I bled on your floor. The silence stretched between them. Ha-yoon felt the weight of impossible choices pressing down. What's your real name? Min-jun asked. Ha-yoon Park. Ha-yoon. He said it carefully, like he was memorizing the sound. I won't let them hurt you. I didn't ask for that promise. I'm giving it anyway. He turned toward the door. Sumin followed. 24 hours, Minjun said. Then we handle this. After they left, Ha-un sat on her couch staring at the photos. Jiho's face smiled up at her from the red circle. Outside, a car engine started. She looked out the window and saw the black sedan pull away, but another car remained across the street, watching. Ha-un felt trapped between two kinds of danger: the known threat of violent rivals and the unknown threat of Minjun Ryu's protection. She checked the locks one more time and tried to sleep, but every sound in the hallway made her heart race. At 3 a.m., she heard footsteps pause outside her door. They stood there for a full minute before moving on. Ha-un lay awake until dawn, clutching her phone with Minjun's number ready to dial. When morning came, she made her choice. Ha-un called Minjun at 7 a.m. 72 hours, she said when he answered. Temporary arrangement only. And I set the rules. Agreed. No guards inside my home. No decisions about my brother without consulting me first. Understood. And I want to know what we're dealing with. No vague answers about handling things. Minjun was quiet for a moment. Meet me at Pike Place in an hour. Bring Jiho. Ha-un dressed quickly and woke her brother. She explained as much as she could without terrifying him. Men were angry at the hurt stranger. They needed to stay somewhere safe for a few days. Jiho signed questions rapidly. Are we in danger? Will the police help? What about school? I don't know, Ha-un answered honestly. But I won't let anything happen to you. They took the bus to Pike Place Market. Minjun waited near the fish vendors wearing jeans and a simple jacket. He looked younger, more approachable, but his eyes never stopped scanning the crowd. Sumin stood 20 feet away, equally watchful. We need to move you, Minjun said without preamble. Your apartment is compromised. For how long? Until we neutralize the threat. Days? Weeks? Days if we're lucky. Weeks if they're stubborn. Ha-un felt overwhelmed. I have a job. Jiho has school. Sumin arranged temporary accommodations. Clean, safe, quiet. Where? Glass house on Queen Anne Hill. View of the water. 2 bedrooms. How much? It's handled. Ha-un's temper flared. I pay my own way. Consider it compensation for the trouble I've caused. I don't want your money. Minjun's voice was patient. Then consider it an investment in keeping you alive. Jiho tugged on Ha-un's sleeve. He'd been following the conversation by reading lips and context. His hands moved quickly. Can we see it first? Minjun looked down at the boy. Smart question. Yes, we can see it first. Something in his tone made Ha-un look at him more closely. His voice was gentler when he spoke to Jiho. They drove to Queen Anne in Sumin's car. Minjun sat in front, occasionally pointing out restaurants and shops to Jiho. Normal conversation. Almost friendly. The safe house was a modern apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay. Minimalist furniture, clean lines, expensive appliances. Jiho explored every room while Ha-un studied the exits. 2 ways out. Secure building, good sight lines. Emergency contacts are programmed in the house phone, Sumin said. Building security knows you're here. What about your people? Ha-un asked. The watchers you mentioned. Discreet, Minjun said. You won't see them unless there's trouble. Ha-un felt cornered. This feels too much like a cage. It's temporary. You keep saying that. Minjun's eyes found hers. Because it's true. I want you safe, not controlled. What's the difference? Safe means protected. Controlled means owned. I don't own people. The sincerity in his voice surprised her. Just their loyalty. Loyalty is earned. Protection is given freely. Ha-un walked to the window. The water stretched grey and endless under cloudy skies. Jiho pressed his face against the glass, fascinated by the view. What happens to my life while we're here? She asked. You live it, just from a different address. And afterward, you go back to normal. I make sure no one bothers you again. How? Minjun joined her at the window. You don't want those details. Stop deciding what I want. He turned to face her. The people hunting me killed a rival's son last month. 8 years old. They put his body on his father's doorstep. Ha-un's breath caught. Why are you telling me this? So you understand what we're protecting Jiho from. She looked at her brother, still marveling at the view. 12 years old and deaf in a hearing world, vulnerable in ways that broke her heart. 72 hours, she said again. 72 hours, Minjun agreed. But even as she said it, Ha-un knew 3 days wouldn't be enough. This kind of danger didn't have a timer. Outside, the first drops of rain began to fall. The storm was coming back. The rain started again as they settled into the safe house. Ha-un unpacked their few belongings, while Ji-ho explored every corner of the apartment. Min-jun worked quietly at the dining table, making phone calls in Korean. "I need to call my manager," Ha-un said. "Tell her I won't be in for a few days." Min-jun looked up from his phone. "What will you say?" "Family emergency." "Good. Simple." Ha-un made the call while watching the water through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Her manager, Linda, was understanding but worried about covering shifts. "I'll make it up to you," Ha-un promised. "Just take care of whatever you need to take care of," Linda said. "The diner will survive." After she hung up, Min-jun approached with a small toolkit. "Your mother's music box, the one on Ji-ho's nightstand. The spring is broken." Ha-un stared at him. "You noticed that? He kept trying to wind it this morning. It made him sad." "When did you see his nightstand?" "When I checked your apartment for security weaknesses." Anger flashed through her. "You went through our things?" "I checked for vulnerabilities." "Nothing more." "That's not your decision to make." Min-jun set the toolkit on the counter. "You're right. I should have asked permission." His immediate acknowledgement surprised her. Most men doubled down when challenged. "May I fix the music box?" he asked. It would make Ji-ho happy. Ha-un felt her anger soften. The music box had been their mother's. It played a Korean lullaby that used to put Ji-ho to sleep when he was small. "Yes," she said, "but ask next time." "I will." Min-jun worked on the music box while Ha-un made lunch. His hands were steady and precise as he adjusted the tiny mechanism. After 20 minutes, the familiar melody filled the room. Ji-ho looked up from his sketchbook, his face lit up with pure joy. He ran to Min-jun and signed rapidly. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Min-jun smiled. It transformed his entire face. "You're welcome." The warmth in his voice made Ha-un's chest tight with something she didn't want to name. "How do you know sign language?" she asked. "I had a friend who was deaf. Long time ago." "What happened to him?" Min-jun's smile faded. "He died." The silence stretched between them. Ha-un sensed grief, buried deep in those 2 words. "I'm sorry," she said. "War teaches many languages. Sign language, the language of silence, the language of loss." "You were a soldier?" "Once." Min-jun closed the toolkit and handed the music box to Ji-ho. The boy cradled it carefully, winding it to hear the melody again. "I'll take first watch tonight," Min-jun said. "You need sleep." "Watch from where?" "The hallway. Outside your door." Ha-un felt uncomfortable. "That's not necessary." "It is to me." "I don't want you standing guard over me." Min-jun's eyes found hers. "Then consider it standing guard over Ji-ho." She couldn't argue with that. Not when her brother's safety was at stake. That evening, Ha-un made dinner for 3. Simple rice bowls with vegetables and beef. Min-jun ate quietly, complimenting the food, but keeping distance. Ji-ho showed him drawings from his sketchbook, portraits of people from the diner, street scenes from their neighborhood, detailed studies of hands and faces. "You're very talented," Min-jun said. "I want to be an artist," Ji-ho signed. "Draw pictures for books." "That's a good dream." "What's your dream?" Min-jun was quiet for a long moment. "I don't have dreams anymore. I have responsibilities." "That's sad." "Sometimes responsibility is enough." Ha-un watched the exchange with growing curiosity. Min-jun spoke to Ji-ho with genuine respect. No condescension, no talking down to a child. After dinner, she tucked Ji-ho into bed with the music box on the nightstand. The lullaby played softly as his eyes closed. "He likes you," Ha-un said when she returned to the living room. Min-jun was standing by the window, looking out at the lights reflecting on the water. "He's a good kid, smart, observant. Too observant sometimes. That's what will keep him safe." Ha-un joined him at the window. The city sparkled below them, alive and dangerous and beautiful. "Tell me about these people," she said. "The ones who took the photos. Rival family. They think I have something that belongs to them." "Do you?" "No." "Then why don't you just tell them that?" Min-jun's laugh was bitter. "Because they don't believe in conversations. They believe in leverage, and I'm leverage. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time." Ha-un felt frustrated. "There has to be a way to resolve this without violence." "There is. I give them what they want." "Which is?" "Me." The simple word hung in the air between them. Ha-un turned to stare at him. "That's not an option," she said. It's the cleanest option. It's not an option, she repeated firmly. Min Jun looked at her with surprise. Why not? Because I don't trade people's lives. Not even to protect myself. Most people would. I'm not most people. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise gave way to something deeper. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. No, he said quietly. You're not. The moment stretched between them, charged with awareness neither was ready to name. I should let you sleep, Min Jun said. Where will you be? In the hall. If you need anything. I know. Call your number. He moved toward the door, then stopped. Ha-un? Yes? Thank you for not trading me away. After he left, Ha-un stood at the window for a long time. The city lights blurred as rain began to fall again. She thought about the man in the hallway, standing guard over strangers who had shown him kindness. She thought about the gentleness in his voice when he spoke to Ji-ho, the way his hands had been steady and sure fixing the music box, the grief hidden in his answer about dreams. Ha-un felt something shifting inside her chest, something dangerous and unwelcome. She went to bed and lay awake, listening to the rain. The next morning brought grey skies and restless energy. Ha-un made breakfast while Ji-ho worked on homework at the dining table. Min Jun had disappeared before dawn, leaving only a note. Back by noon. Su-min watching building. Where did he go? Ha-un asked when Su-min arrived with groceries. Business. What kind of business? Su-min's expression was politely blank. The kind that keeps you safe. Ha-un felt frustrated by the non-answers. Everyone treated her like a child who couldn't handle the truth. She spent the morning cleaning the already spotless apartment and pacing by the windows. The view of Elliott Bay was beautiful, but she felt caged. At 11:30, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? She answered carefully. Ha-un Park. The voice was smooth, American accented. My name is Chairman Nam. I believe we have a mutual friend. Ha-un's breath caught. I don't know who you're talking about. Min Jun Ryu. You helped him recently. I don't know what you mean. Chairman Nam laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Miss Park, let's not insult each other with lies. You cleaned his blood from your kitchen floor. The photos. They had more than just exterior shots. What do you want? Ha-un asked. A conversation. Just you and me. I have nothing to say to you. I think you do. Meet me at Pike Place Market. 1 hour. Come alone. No. Your brother walks home from View Ridge Elementary every day at 3:15. Lovely child. Such expressive eyes. Ha-un's hands started shaking. Don't you dare. 1 hour, Miss Park. Pike Place Market. The flower stalls. The line went dead. Ha-un stared at her phone. Her chest felt tight with panic and rage. These people knew where Ji-ho went to school. They had been watching, learning, planning. She looked at Su-min, who was reading a newspaper on the couch. He appeared relaxed, but his eyes tracked every movement she made. I need to go out, she said. Min Jun said you should stay here today. It's not his decision. It's a security decision. Ha-un walked to the window. Pike Place Market was visible in the distance, bustling with tourists and vendors. Chairman Nam would be there in 45 minutes. If she didn't show, he would hurt Ji-ho. If she did show, she might be walking into a trap. But she couldn't let fear control her choices. Not when her brother's safety was at stake. I'm going, she said. Su-min set down his newspaper. Where? To meet Chairman Nam. His expression went cold and alert. Absolutely not. He threatened Ji-ho. I have to go. That's exactly why you can't go. It's a trap. I know it's a trap. Ha-un grabbed her jacket. But I can't risk him hurting my brother. Su-min moved to block the door. His voice was respectful but firm. I can't let you leave. You can't stop me. I can, and I will. Ha-un felt cornered. Call Min Jun. He's in a meeting. Can't be disturbed. Then you decide. Do I walk out that door, or do I climb out the window? Su-min studied her face. Something he saw there made him step aside. 5 minutes, he said. I'm calling for backup. Ha-un was already out the door. Pike Place Market buzzed with afternoon crowds. Tourists bought flowers and fresh fish while street musicians played on corners. Ha-un moved through the chaos toward the flower stalls, hyper-aware of every face in the crowd. Chairman Nam stood near a display of white roses. He was older than she'd expected, maybe 60, with silver hair and an expensive coat. He looked like a successful businessman, not a criminal. Miss Park, he smiled warmly. Thank you for coming. What do you want? To talk. Is that so unusual? Ha-un stayed 5 feet away, close enough to hear, far enough to run. Talk about what? Your friend Min-jun. He has something that belongs to me. I don't know anything about his business. Don't you? You spent quite a lot of time with him yesterday. Cozy little apartment on Queen Anne Hill. Beautiful view. They knew where she was staying. Her stomach dropped. I helped a bleeding man, Ha-un said. That's all. And now you're living in his safe house. Under his protection, Chairman Nam selected a white rose from the display. That suggests a deeper relationship. It suggests he feels responsible for putting me in danger. Does it? Nam paid for the rose and handed it to her. Or does it suggest he cares about you? Ha-un didn't take the flower. I wouldn't know. Of course you would. A woman always knows when a man is interested. What do you want from me? Chairman Nam's smile faded. I want you to give him a message. The package he took from my warehouse 3 months ago. I want it back. I don't know about any package. No? How disappointing. I was hoping you could be reasonable. I am being reasonable. I'm telling you the truth. The truth, Nam laughed. Such a flexible concept. He dropped the rose at her feet. Tell Min-jun he has 24 hours. After that, I start making my displeasure known in more direct ways. I'll tell him. Good. Oh, and Miss Park? Ha-un was already turning to leave. What? If you involve the police in this matter, your brother will suffer for it. Children are so fragile. Rage flooded through Ha-un's chest. You touch him, and You'll what? Nam's voice was silk over steel. You're a waitress with a deaf brother and no family. I'm a respected businessman with resources you can't imagine. What exactly will you do? Ha-un stared at him. The truth of her powerlessness hit like a physical blow. That's what I thought, Nam said. 24 hours, Miss Park. Choose wisely. He walked away, disappearing into the crowd of tourists and vendors. Ha-un stood frozen among the flower stalls. The white rose lay crushed at her feet. People streamed around her, laughing and talking and living their normal lives while hers crumbled. Her phone buzzed. A text from Min-jun. Where are you? She typed back, Pike Place. Coming home. Stay where you are. I'm coming to get you. Ha-un looked around the market. Every face could be a threat. Every stranger could be watching her. She found a coffee shop and sat by the window to wait. Her hands shook as she ordered tea she didn't want. 10 minutes later, Min-jun appeared. His face was tight with controlled fury. He scanned the coffee shop before approaching her table. What happened? He asked. Ha-un told him about Chairman Nam's call, the meeting, the threat against Ji-ho. Min-jun listened without interruption, his expression growing darker. You should have waited for me, he said. He was threatening my brother. So you walked into a trap. I had to know what he wanted. Min-jun was quiet for a moment. What exactly did he say about a package? Something you took from his warehouse 3 months ago. He wants it back. There was no package. Then what is he talking about? Information. I witnessed something I shouldn't have seen. What kind of something? Min-jun's eyes found hers. The kind that could destroy his organization. The coffee shop felt suddenly too small, too exposed. Ha-un looked around at the other customers. Normal people drinking coffee and checking phones. Is it true? She asked. Yes. Will you give him the information? No. Why not? Because it involves the death of children, and I don't negotiate with people who kill children. Ha-un felt the weight of impossible choices pressing down again. So we're at war. We were always at war. Now you're part of it. I didn't choose this. No, but you're choosing to stay. The statement hung between them. Ha-un realized he was right. She could run, take Ji-ho and disappear to another city, another state, start over, somewhere safe. But running meant abandoning Min-jun to face Chairman Nam alone, and despite everything, she couldn't do that. Yes, she said quietly. I'm choosing to stay. Something shifted in Min-jun's expression. Surprise, then gratitude, then something deeper. Thank you, he said. Don't thank me yet. I might get us all killed. That's my job to worry about. They left the coffee shop together. Min-jun walked slightly ahead, alert to every person and vehicle around them. Ha-un felt the target painted on her back with every step. There's something else, she said as they reached his car. Nam knows about the safe house. Min-jun stopped walking. What? He mentioned Queen Anne Hill, the view. Min-jun pulled out his phone and made a rapid call in Korean. His voice was sharp with urgency. We're moving, he said when he hung up. Tonight. Where? Somewhere safer. Ha-un looked back toward Pike Place Market. Somewhere in that crowd of normal people, Chairman Nam was planning his next move. The game had changed, and she was no longer just a witness. She was a target. They returned to the safe house to find Sumin packing with military efficiency. Ji-ho sat on the couch with his sketchbook, confused but calm. "Where are we going?" Ha-yoon asked. "My place," Min-jun said. "More secure." "Your home?" "Estate in Bellevue, gated. Guards, safe room if necessary." Ha-yoon felt overwhelmed. "I don't want to live in a fortress. It's temporary." "You keep saying that." Min-jun stopped packing and looked at her. "Would you prefer I say it might be permanent, that this could be your life now?" "I'd prefer honesty." "Honestly? I don't know how long this will take. Nam won't give up easily. And I can't give him what he wants." "The information about dead children." "Yes. What exactly did you see?" Min-jun was quiet for a moment. "Nam's men killed a rival's family, parents and 3 children, ages 6, 8, and 10. Ha-yoon's breath caught. "You witnessed this? I was supposed to be in a different building. Wrong place, wrong time. Like you. Why didn't you go to the police?" "Because half of them are on Nam's payroll, and the other half don't care about dead Korean immigrants." The bitter truth in his voice made her chest tight. "So, you're the only witness?" "Yes. And if something happens to you, Nam wins, the families get no justice, and more children die." Ha-yoon understood now. This wasn't about territory or money. It was about right and wrong in a world where the lines were drawn in blood. "How do we fight someone like that?" she asked, very carefully. "And together." Together. The words settled into her chest with surprising warmth. "What about Ji-ho's school?" "Online classes for now. Sumin arranged it." Ha-yoon looked at her brother, who was drawing intently. He'd adapted to every change with remarkable resilience. But how much disruption could one child handle? "This isn't fair to him," she said. "None of this is fair," Min-jun said. "But it's temporary." "You said you don't know how long." "I said I don't know how long the threat will last. But your brother's education, his normal life, those are my priority too. I promise you that." The sincerity in his voice surprised her. "Why?" "Because he matters to you, and you matter to me." The words hung in the air between them. Ha-yoon felt her breath catch. "I matter to you." Min-jun's eyes found hers. "More than I expected, more than I should." Before she could respond, Su-min appeared in the doorway. "Cars are here," he said. The moment shattered. Ha-yoon grabbed their bags while Min-jun helped Ji-ho pack his art supplies. "Adventure time," Min-jun told the boy. "New house. Maybe you can draw the gardens." "Are there really gardens?" Ji-ho signed. "Yes. And a pond with fish." Ji-ho's face lit up. For a 12-year-old, a pond with fish made everything an adventure instead of a crisis. They rode to Bellevue in convoy. 2 cars ahead, 2 behind. Ha-yoon watched the city slide past and wondered if this was her life now. Armed escorts and safe houses and the constant calculation of threat. Min-jun's estate sat behind high walls and electronic gates. The house itself was elegant, but not ostentatious. Clean lines, natural materials, spaces that felt lived in rather than displayed. "Guest wing is yours," Min-jun said as they toured the house. 2 bedrooms, private bathroom, sitting area. "Where will you be?" "Main house. Close enough to help, far enough to give you privacy." Ha-yoon appreciated the consideration. "Thank you." Ji-ho explored every room with wide eyes. The gardens were spectacular, carefully tended paths winding between flowering trees. And yes, there was a pond with fat orange fish that came to the surface when he leaned over the edge. "This is beautiful," Ha-yoon said. Min-jun stood beside her on the terrace, watching Ji-ho sketch the koi pond. "My wife designed the gardens." The past tense hit like a physical blow. "Your wife? She died 4 years ago. Car accident." "I'm sorry." "So am I." Something in his voice made her look at him more closely. "It wasn't an accident, was it?" Min-jun was quiet for a long moment. "No, it wasn't." Ha-yoon felt pieces of the puzzle clicking into place. "Nam? His predecessor, same family, different leader. They killed your wife. They killed my wife and unborn child." The words were spoken quietly, matter-of-factly. But Ha-yoon heard the devastation beneath them. "Is that why you can't give Nam the information? Personal vendetta?" "No," Min-jun's voice was steady. "I can't give him the information because it's the right thing to do. But yes, it's personal too." "How far along was she, your wife?" 6 months. Ha-yoon's chest tightened with sympathy. I'm so sorry. Her name was Sarah. She was a teacher. She wanted to start a school for deaf children. The detail about deaf children made Ha-un look at Ji-ho with new understanding. Is that why you learned sign language? Yes. And why you're so patient with Ji-ho? He reminds me of the children she wanted to teach. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Ji-ho feed fish from a small container of food he'd found by the pond. What was she like? Ha-un asked. Kind, stubborn. She believed people could change if given the chance. Do you believe that? Min-jun looked at her. I'm starting to. The weight of his gaze made her pulse quicken. Why? Because you're changing me. Before Ha-un could respond, Soo-min appeared on the terrace. Security brief, he said. When you're ready. Min-jun nodded. 5 minutes. After Soo-min left, Ha-un touched Min-jun's arm. Thank you for telling me about your wife. Thank you for listening. What's her grave marker say? Min-jun smiled sadly. Beloved teacher, devoted wife. Dreams live forever. I'd like to visit her someday, if that's okay. She would have liked you. How do you know? Because you're fighting for Ji-ho the same way she would have. Ha-un felt something shift in her chest, something warm and dangerous and entirely unwelcome. She was falling for Min-jun Ryu, and that was the most dangerous thing of all. The security briefing took place in Min-jun's study after dark. Maps covered the desk, showing patrol routes and camera positions. Soo-min explained the estate's defenses with military precision. Motion sensors on the perimeter, he said. Infrared cameras at all access points. Armed response team on standby. Ha-un felt like she was planning for war. How many people does Nam have? Enough, Min-jun said. But they prefer subtlety to direct assault. Meaning, they'll try to draw us out rather than attack the compound. Draw us out? How? Soo-min and Min-jun exchanged a look. Pressure points, Soo-min said carefully. People we care about. Ha-un's stomach dropped. Ji-ho's school. Already handled. Online classes start tomorrow. My job? Linda received a very generous donation to cover your extended leave, Min-jun said. You can't just pay away my entire life. I can protect it. Those aren't the same thing. Min-jun's jaw tightened. Would you prefer I let Nam destroy it instead? I'd prefer to have choices in my own life. You do have choices. The choice to be safe or to be stubborn. Those shouldn't be mutually exclusive. Soo-min cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on immediate security concerns. Ha-un felt frustrated but let it drop. For now, they finished the briefing as rain began pattering against the windows, another storm rolling in from the sound. I'll check on Ji-ho, Ha-un said. She found her brother in the guest suite sitting area, sketching by lamplight. He'd drawn the koi pond with remarkable detail. Every fish scale, every ripple on the water's surface. This place is amazing, he signed. Like a castle. Do you like it here? It's pretty, but I miss our apartment. I know. We'll go home soon. When? I don't know. Ji-ho studied her face with those two perceptive eyes. Are you scared? Ha-un considered lying, but Ji-ho could read people better than most adults. Yes, she said. A little. Of the bad men? Of making the wrong choices. Min-jun will keep us safe. How do you know? His hands don't shake when he's scared. And he looks at you like Dad used to look at Mom. Ha-un's breath caught. What do you mean? Like you're precious. Before she could respond, a knock came at the door. Min-jun stood in the hallway with a tea service. Thought you might want something warm, he said. Ha-un accepted the tray gratefully. The tea was jasmine, delicate and soothing. Thank you. Sleep well. Tomorrow we figure out our next move. After he left, Ha-un sat with her tea and thought about what Ji-ho had said. The way Min-jun looked at her, like she was precious. She wondered if it was true, and she wondered why the thought made her chest feel warm and tight at the same time. Ha-un woke to the sound of breaking glass. She sat up in bed, heart racing. The guest wing was dark and quiet, but she definitely heard something. Moving carefully, she crept to the window. The garden below looked normal. Moonlight cast shadows between the trees. Then she saw it. A rock lying on the terrace with a note tied around it. Someone had thrown it through a downstairs window. Ha-un grabbed her robe and slipped into the hallway. Ji-ho's door was closed. She could hear his soft breathing through the thin wood. The main house was silent. Too silent. She found Min-jun in his study, fully dressed despite the late hour. He was reading the note from the rock. What does it say? Ha-un asked. He looked up, unsurprised by her presence. Nam wants to meet. Tomorrow night, Pier 70. You're not going. I have to. It's obviously a trap. Yes. Ha-eun felt exasperated. Then why would you even consider it? Because the alternative is letting him escalate. And escalation means innocent people get hurt. You mean Ji-ho. I mean everyone. My staff, the neighbors, anyone who gets in Nam's way. Min-jun stood and moved to the window. He's done this before. Applied pressure until his target made a mistake. What kind of mistake? The kind that gets people killed. Ha-eun joined him at the window. The broken glass had been cleaned up, but she could see the hole covered with cardboard. So we give him what he wants, she said. No. Why not? If it stops the violence, it won't stop the violence. It will enable more of it. Min-jun turned to face her. The information I have proves Nam killed 3 children. If I give it up, he kills more children. Different children, but dead just the same. Ha-eun felt the weight of impossible choices pressing down again. There has to be another way. There is. I go to the meeting and end this. By getting yourself killed, by being smarter than he expects. That's not a plan. That's wishful thinking. Min-jun smiled grimly. It's all the plan I have. Ha-eun stared at him. You can't make this decision alone. It's my decision to make. Not anymore. Not when it affects Ji-ho and me. That's exactly why it's my decision. I won't let you become collateral damage in my war. Too late. We're already involved. You're involved because I made a mistake. I can fix that mistake. By dying nobly, that's not fixing anything. That's just dying. Min-jun's eyes found hers. Would you prefer I live as a coward? I'd prefer you live as a man who thinks before he acts. The silence stretched between them, charged with frustration and fear. What do you suggest? Min-jun asked finally. I don't know, but there has to be something between giving up and giving in. Such as? Su-min mentioned backup. Other allies. I work alone. Maybe that's the problem. Min-jun considered this. You think I should trust other people? I think you should let other people help you. There's a difference? Trust is personal. Help is practical. Something shifted in Min-jun's expression. You sound like Sarah. Your wife? She used to say I carried too much alone. That strength meant knowing when to lean on others. Smart woman. Yes, she was. Ha-eun moved closer to him, close enough to see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight of responsibility he carried. Let me help, she said. How? I don't know yet, but I'm good at thinking on my feet, and I'm very motivated to keep Ji-ho safe. It's too dangerous. Everything is dangerous now. At least this way we face it together. Min-jun studied her face. You're sure? No, but I'm committed. There's a difference? Ha-eun smiled. Trust is personal. Commitment is practical. He laughed despite everything. The sound was warm and surprised. All right, he said. We plan this together. Partners. Partners. Ha-eun felt something settle in her chest. Relief, maybe. Or recognition. They spent the rest of the night planning. By dawn, they had the outline of something that might work. It was dangerous. It required precise timing and more than a little luck, but it was better than wishful thinking. The next day passed in careful preparation. Su-min coordinated with contacts in the police department. Min-jun reviewed security footage from previous meetings with Nam's people. Ha-eun studied maps of Pier 70 and the surrounding area. She memorized escape routes and signal points. You don't have to do this, Min-jun said, as they went over the plan again. Yes, I do. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. Even if it gets you killed? Even then. Min-jun looked at her with something like wonder. You're not afraid. I'm terrified. But fear isn't a good reason to let children die. When did you get so brave? Ha-eun thought about it. When someone I cared about needed me to be. The words hung in the air between them. Min-jun's eyes found hers. Ha-eun, don't. She held up a hand. Don't say anything we can't take back. What if we don't get the chance later? Then we don't get the chance. But we don't make this about us, when other people's lives are at stake. Min-jun nodded slowly. You're right. I usually am. He smiled. Sarah would have said the same thing. Good. I'm in excellent company. That evening, Ha-eun tucked Ji-ho into bed, with the music box playing softly on his nightstand. Will you be here when I wake up? He signed. Yes, she said without hesitation. Promise? I promise. I love you. I love you too. She kissed his forehead and turned off the light. In the hallway, Min-jun waited with their gear. Ready? He asked. Ha-eun thought about Ji-ho sleeping peacefully, trusting her promise. about the children Nam had killed, about the children he would kill if they failed. "Ready," she said. They drove through the night toward Pier 70, toward answers or death. Ha-Un couldn't decide which scared her more. Pier 70 stretched into Elliott Bay under a cloudy sky. Fog rolled off the water, reducing visibility to 20 feet. Perfect weather for an ambush. Ha-Un crouched behind a shipping container, watching the pier through binoculars. Min Jun was positioned 50 yards away with a clear line of sight to the meeting point. Sumin's voice crackled through her earpiece. Police units in position, boats standing by. At exactly midnight, Chairman Nam appeared at the end of the pier. He brought 6 men, all armed, all alert. Min Jun emerged from the shadows with his hands visible and empty. "You came," Nam called across the water. "I keep my word." "Do you? Then where is my property?" "What property?" "There was no package," Nam laughed. "Still playing games. How tiresome." He gestured to his men. 2 of them moved to flank Min Jun, while the others watched the approaches. "The information, Mr. Ryu, the videos, the documents, everything you stole from my warehouse. I didn't steal anything. I witnessed something. The same thing, really. Not to the families of the children you killed." Nam's expression hardened. "Those children were casualties of business. Regrettable, but necessary. 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. You sound like a police report. Maybe because that's what this is." Min Jun raised his hand. Police officers emerged from their concealment points, weapons drawn. Spotlights blazed to life, turning the pier into a stage. "Chairman Nam," a voice called through a megaphone, "you're under arrest." Nam's men reached for their guns. Min Jun dove behind a concrete barrier as bullets started flying. Ha-Un's part of the plan kicked in. She triggered the signal flare they'd planted on the opposite side of the pier. The bright light drew half of Nam's attention away from Min Jun. But something went wrong. One of Nam's men broke from the group and headed straight for her position. Ha-Un ran. The shipping container maze became a deadly game of cat and mouse. Footsteps echoed behind her on the wet concrete. She turned a corner and found herself face to face with Ethan. "Hello, Ha-Un," he said with that familiar smile. "Miss me?" Her breath caught. "What are you doing here?" "Working. I've been Nam's inside man for months. Watching you, reporting back." "You bastard. Now. No need for name-calling." He pulled out a gun. "Though I suppose you won't be calling me anything for much longer. The police are busy with the fireworks show. You and I have time for a private conversation." Ethan stepped closer. "Did you really think you could hide from me? I know everything about you. Your habits, your fears, your weaknesses. Ji-ho, smart girl. Yes, your precious little brother. So vulnerable, so easy to hurt." Rage flooded through Ha-Un's chest. "If you touch him..." "You'll what? You're about to be dead, sweetheart." Ethan raised the gun. "Any last words?" "Yes," Ha-Un said. "Duck." Min Jun appeared behind Ethan and struck him in the neck with surgical precision. Ethan crumpled to the ground, unconscious. "Are you hurt?" Min Jun asked. "No. Are you?" "I'm fine." "Nam?" "In custody. His men too." Ha-Un looked at Ethan's unconscious form. "He was working for Nam, watching me." "I know. Sumin figured it out this afternoon. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I knew you'd blame yourself. And it wasn't your fault." Min Jun helped her to her feet. His hands were gentle but thorough, checking for injuries. "It's over," he said. "Is it really? Nam will go to prison. His organization will collapse without him, and Ethan will never bother you again." Ha-Un felt the adrenaline draining from her system, leaving her shaky and exhausted. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we go home." "To your house?" Min Jun's eyes found hers. "To wherever you want home to be." The words carried weight beyond their simple meaning. Ha-Un understood what he was offering, what he was asking. "Min Jun, I know. Too much, too fast. But almost losing you tonight made me realize something." "What?" "I don't want to live without you, either of you. You and Ji-ho." Ha-Un's chest felt tight with emotion. "We barely know each other. I know you're brave. I know you're loyal. I know you'd die to protect the people you love. That's not enough to build a life on. Then we'll learn the rest together." Police sirens wailed in the distance. The fog was starting to lift, revealing the lights of Seattle across the bay. "What about your wife?" Ha-Un asked. "Sarah? She's gone, and she'd want me to be happy." "How do you know?" "Because she loved me enough to want me to love again." Min Jun touched her face gently. "I'm not asking you to decide tonight. I'm just asking you to think about it. What if I say no? Then I'll respect that. But I'll keep hoping you'll change your mind. And if I say yes, then we take it slow. We learn each other. We build something real. Ha-Eun looked at this man who had turned her life upside down, who had protected her and trusted her and shown her a kind of partnership she'd never imagined. I need time, she said. You have all the time you need. What about Ji-ho? He comes first. Always, in everything we do. Something in his voice convinced her he meant it. This wasn't about desire or possession. It was about family. Okay, she said. Okay, let's see what happens. Min-jun smiled. It transformed his entire face, making him look young and hopeful. Can I kiss you? He asked. Not yet. When? When I'm sure. Sure of what? That you're kissing Ha-eun, not the idea of replacing Sarah. Min-jun nodded slowly. That's fair. They walked back toward the police cars and flashing lights, toward statements and paperwork and the slow machinery of justice, but also toward possibility. 3 weeks later, Ha-eun stood in Min-jun's kitchen making breakfast. Ji-ho sat at the island doing homework while Min-jun read the newspaper. It felt domestic, normal, like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. School called, Min-jun said. Ji-ho can return to regular classes on Monday. Really? Ji-ho signed excitedly. Really, Ha-eun said. Back to normal. Will we stay here? Ha-eun looked at Min-jun. They'd been avoiding that conversation for weeks. We need to talk about that, she said. Tonight? Min-jun asked. Tonight. After Ji-ho went to bed, they sat on the terrace with tea and watched the koi swimming in the moonlit pond. I've been thinking, Ha-eun said, about us. This, what it means. Min-jun waited without pushing. He'd learned to let her set the pace. I want to try, she said, but slowly, and with rules. What kind of rules? Separate bedrooms. For now. Agreed. No decisions about Ji-ho without consulting me first. Of course. And I keep working. I'm not a kept woman. I wouldn't want you to be. Ha-eun turned to face him. What do you want, Min-jun? Really? I want a family. I want to come home to people who matter. I want to build something lasting. With me? With you. If you'll have me. What about your business? The dangerous parts. I'm transitioning to legitimate operations. It will take time, but I'm committed to it. Because of me? Because of us. I won't risk the life we could have together. Ha-eun studied his face in the moonlight. She saw sincerity there, and hope, and something that might be love. Okay, she said. Okay, let's try. But slowly. Min-jun smiled. How slowly? However long it takes to be sure. I can wait. Even if it takes months, even if it takes years. Ha-eun felt something settle in her chest. Peace, maybe, or the beginning of happiness. Can I kiss you now? Min-jun asked. Ha-eun looked at him. Really looked at him. She saw the man who had protected her brother, who had fixed a broken music box, who had chosen justice over safety. Yes, she said. He kissed her gently, carefully, like she was precious. When they broke apart, Ha-eun rested her forehead against his. I think I could love you, she whispered. I think I already do. They sat together in the garden, listening to the water and planning their future. It would be complicated. It would take work, but it would be theirs. And that was enough. 6 months later, Ha-eun woke to the sound of laughter in the kitchen. Sunlight streamed through the windows of what she now thought of as home. The guest wing had become their wing. Min-jun had moved his office to give them more space. She found Ji-ho and Min-jun making pancakes together. Flour dusted every surface. Ji-ho's hands moved rapidly as he signed instructions. More blueberries, he was telling Min-jun. Mom always put in more blueberries. Your sister's secret ingredient, Min-jun said, adding another handful to the batter. Ha-eun makes the best pancakes. I'll have to get her recipe. Ha-eun smiled from the doorway. The recipe is love. Everything else is just ingredients. Min-jun looked up. His smile was warm and unguarded. Good morning. Good morning. She moved into the kitchen and kissed his cheek. The gesture was natural now, comfortable. They'd built intimacy slowly, carefully, like constructing something meant to last. Sleep well? He asked. Perfect. You? No nightmares. It was their code for the healing they'd both needed. Min-jun's grief over Sarah, Ha-eun's trauma from Ethan and Chairman Nam. They'd worked through it together, with patience and professional help. Can we eat outside? Ji-ho signed. The fish are hungry. The fish are always hungry, Ha-un said, but she helped carry plates to the terrace. They ate breakfast in the garden while koi swirled in the pond. Jiho had named each fish and drawn detailed portraits of their personalities. His art teacher said he had exceptional talent. School called yesterday, Minjun said, about the scholarship program. Ha-un looked up from her pancakes. What scholarship program? For deaf students interested in art. Full ride to Seattle Art Institute when Jiho's ready. Really? Jiho's hands moved excitedly. Really, Minjun said, if you want it. I want it. Ha-un felt tears prick her eyes. How did you find out about this? Sarah's foundation. They sponsor talented students who need support. You have a foundation? Sarah started it before she died. I've been expanding it. Ha-un reached across the table and took his hand. Thank you. Jiho earned it. I just made sure the right people saw his portfolio. What's a portfolio? Jiho signed. A collection of your best work, Ha-un explained, to show what you can do. Minjun made one for me? We made one together, Minjun said. Your drawings, my connections, teamwork. Jiho beamed. He'd grown 3 inches since they'd moved in. His confidence had blossomed along with his height. After breakfast, Jiho went to his room to work on a new sketch. Ha-un and Minjun cleaned up together, moving around each other with practiced ease. You never told me about expanding Sarah's foundation, Ha-un said. It's new. I wanted to surprise you. Why? Minjun dried the last plate and turned to face her. Because you taught me that protecting one child isn't enough. Sarah wanted to help all children like Jiho, and now you're making that happen. We're making that happen. If you want to be involved, Ha-un felt her breath catch. You want me to help run Sarah's foundation? I want you to help transform it, make it bigger, better, more effective. I'm a waitress. I don't know anything about running foundations. You know about fighting for children. You know about sacrifice and determination. The rest we can learn together. Ha-un looked out at the garden Sarah had designed, at the pond where Jiho fed fish every morning, at the life they'd built from crisis and fear. What would Sarah think? She asked. She'd be proud. How do you know? Because I finally understand what she meant about letting people help me. Minjun moved closer. You've taught me that strength isn't about standing alone. It's about choosing the right people to stand with. Is that a proposal? Ha-un asked with a smile. Not yet, but it's heading that way. How will I know when it's official? When I stop being terrified of the answer. Ha-un laughed. You're not terrified of anything. I'm terrified of losing you. The honesty in his voice made her chest tight. You're not going to lose me. Promise? Promise. Minjun kissed her forehead. I love you, Ha-un Park. I love you too, Minjun Ryu. The words came easily now. They'd said them first 3 months ago, then again and again, until they became part of their daily language. That afternoon, they drove to the cemetery where Sarah was buried. Ha-un had been visiting every few weeks, bringing flowers and updates about the foundation. She would have loved the scholarship program, Minjun said as they stood before the headstone. She would have loved Jiho, Ha-un added. She would have loved you. Ha-un knelt and placed white roses by the grave marker. I hope we're making you proud, Sarah. The wind stirred the trees overhead, a peaceful sound, like gentle approval. On the drive home, Minjun was quiet. Ha-un could sense something brewing in his mind. What are you thinking about? She asked. The future. What about it? Whether you're ready to make it official. Ha-un's pulse quickened. Official how? Minjun pulled into their driveway and turned off the engine. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. Official like this? Ha-un stared at the box. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The ring was beautiful. Simple white gold with a single diamond, elegant without being ostentatious. Ha-un Park, Minjun said softly. Will you marry me? What about Jiho? What about him? Did you ask his permission? Minjun smiled. I asked if he'd like me to be his official brother. He said yes. When? This morning, while you were sleeping. Ha-un looked at the ring again. It caught the light and threw rainbows across her palm. What if we're moving too fast? She asked. What if we're moving exactly the right speed? What if I'm not ready to be married? What if you are, and you just don't know it yet? Ha-un studied his face. She saw love there, and certainty, and the kind of patience that could wait forever. Ask me again, she said. Ha-un Park, will you marry me? Yes. The word came without hesitation, without fear, with absolute conviction. Minjun's face lit up with joy. He slipped the ring onto her finger with shaking hands. "I was terrified you'd say no," he admitted. "I was terrified you wouldn't ask." They kissed in the car while the late afternoon sun painted everything golden. When they broke apart, Ha-eun looked at the ring on her finger. "It's perfect," she said. "Just like you. I'm not perfect. Perfect for me." They went inside to tell Ji-ho. He was in the living room working on a large canvas. When he saw the ring, his face exploded with happiness. "You're getting married," he signed rapidly. "We're getting married," Ha-eun corrected. "All three of us. We're going to be a real family." "Finally, finally," Min-jun laughed. "How long have you been waiting?" "Since the first day. I could tell you loved each other." "How?" "Your hands don't shake when you look at her, and she smiles with her eyes when you're talking." Ha-eun felt tears threaten. "I love you, Ji-ho. I love you too. Both of you." They ordered pizza and spent the evening planning. Small wedding, close friends only. Ceremony in the garden, where Sarah's roses bloomed. Reception on the terrace by the koi pond. "When?" Min-jun asked. "Spring," Ha-eun said. "When everything's growing. I can wait until spring." "Good, because I want time to plan the perfect wedding. And I want time to be the perfect husband." "You're already perfect," Ha-eun said. "For us." That night, they sat on the terrace under the stars. Ji-ho had gone to bed with his sketchbook, already designing wedding invitations. "Are you happy?" Min-jun asked. "Completely. No regrets?" "Only one." Min-jun tensed. "What?" "I wish it hadn't taken a crisis to bring us together. Maybe it was meant to happen this way. Destiny. Choice. You chose to help a stranger. I chose to trust you. We chose to build something together." Ha-eun leaned against his shoulder. "What do you think happens next?" "We get married. We run the foundation. We raise Ji-ho. We grow old together." "Sounds perfect." "It will be, because we'll make it perfect." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the water and planning their future. Tomorrow would bring wedding preparations and foundation work, and all the beautiful complications of building a life together. But tonight was just for them. For the quiet moment between saying yes and saying I do. 6 months later, Ha-eun stood in Sarah's garden wearing her mother's wedding dress, altered to fit perfectly. White roses bloomed around her feet. The koi pond reflected blue sky and white clouds. Soo-min walked her down the aisle. He'd become like family over the months, quiet and protective and endlessly loyal. Ji-ho stood beside Min-jun as best man, wearing a suit that made him look impossibly grown up. His hands moved in graceful signs as he translated the ceremony for the other deaf children from Sarah's school. Min-jun waited at the altar they'd built under Sarah's favorite cherry tree. He wore a simple black suit and the most beautiful smile Ha-eun had ever seen. The ceremony was small and perfect. 30 guests who mattered, vows they'd written themselves, rings blessed by the priest who had married Min-jun and Sarah years before. "Do you, Min-jun Ryu, take Ha-eun Park to be your wife?" "I do." "Do you, Ha-eun Park, take Min-jun Ryu to be your husband?" "I do." "You may kiss your bride." Min-jun kissed her gently, the same careful reverence as that first kiss on the terrace. But deeper now, richer with the weight of promises made and kept. When they broke apart, Ji-ho threw flower petals in the air. The other children cheered in sign language, their hands dancing with joy. The reception lasted until sunset. Dancing on the terrace while the koi swam lazy circles below, toasts from friends who had become family. Ji-ho's speech that made everyone cry. Ha-eun taught me that love means fighting for people. Min-jun taught me that family means choosing to stay. Together they taught me that home isn't a place, it's the people who promise to keep you safe. As the last guests left, Ha-eun and Min-jun stood alone in the garden. Her wedding dress caught the last light, making her glow like moonbeams. "How do you feel, Mrs. Ryu?" he asked. "Perfect." "How do you feel, Mr. Ryu?" "Like the luckiest man alive, because you married me, because I get to keep you." Ha-eun looked around the garden, at the roses Sarah had planted, at the pond where Ji-ho fed fish every morning, at the foundation they'd built from love and loss, and the determination to protect children. "Sarah would be happy," she said. "She would be proud." "Of you?" "Of us." Min-jun took her hand. The wedding ring caught the dying light, sending rainbows across the water. "Ready to go inside, Mrs. Ryu?" "Ready for anything, Mr. Ryu." They walked into their house together, into their marriage, their family, their future. Ji-ho was already asleep with the music box playing softly on his nightstand. the same lullaby that had comforted him as a child, now blessing their home with gentle melody. Ha-eun and Min-jun stood in the doorway watching him sleep, their son in every way that mattered. "I love our life," Ha-eun whispered. "So do I. Think it will always be this perfect. Perfect is a choice. We choose it every day." Min-jun put his arm around her shoulders. "Besides, we're good at fixing broken things." "Are we broken?" "We were. Now we're whole." They turned off the light and walked to their bedroom. Their first night as husband and wife. Their first night as a complete family. Outside, rain began to fall gently on the garden, the same rain that had brought them together in a storm-swept diner 6 months ago. But this rain was different, soft and nurturing, the kind that helped things grow. Ha-eun fell asleep in Min-jun's arms, listening to the music box and the rain and the sound of home settling around them. She dreamed of the future they would build together, children they might have, lives they would touch through Sarah's foundation, the quiet, daily miracles of choosing love over fear. When morning came, they would wake up married. They would make breakfast together while Jiho fed the fish. They would start their first day as the family they had chosen to become. But for now, there was just this moment. Rain on the windows, love in their hearts, and the certainty that they were exactly where they belonged. Together, safe, home, the end.